give them a minute or two. Oh, actually, it's right on time. You know what? I'll let them in when they come in. If you all can like show your video, that would be super awesome. And we'll send you Starbucks cards for doing it. But don't wreck doing it. Like nobody needs to die to show me their face. You know, that's okay. Hi guys. Well, I hope you all had a good lunch. And I just wanted to chat with you guys. Sorry, I'm moving some more people over. So I'm Emily Miller-Lair. I work for Aspen Dental, and I'm really excited to talk to all y'all. I wish it could be in person, but you know, we've got a little while till that can happen. I brought with me today Rebecca Keto. Becky, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me today. I am a clinical dental hygienist for over 10 years, worked for Aspen for a long time, and then am now what's called a territory manager of hygiene support. So I cover Arizona and New Mexico, and I have the most fantastic hygienists and the best job in the world because of them, because I get to go in and just offer a lot of great clinical support for them, whatever it may be. We love to hire new graduates for that, for that reason. Aspen gives, I'm sure Emily will go into it, but just a lot of additional training and support around, for new graduates to make sure that you guys are really able to deliver that quality care and develop.
She's in, what do you call it? She's in New Mexico today. She keeps losing herself. We lost you at Develop, Becky.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I just said, Aspen does a great job of really just developing, giving you guys the opportunity to deliver that quality care and develop those long-term relationships with your patients. So thank you for having me. Sorry about the internet.
No, that's okay. It totally happens. We're all used to that in a world of Zoom, and they're in New Mexico too. So Becky's in New Mexico today, but she's in, oh, you just told me and I forgot. It's the fancy.
I'm in Santa Fe.
Santa Fe. I always think of it as like super bougie, right? So she's in Santa Fe today, but you guys are in Las Cruces, which I haven't been to before. So you could tell me it's super bougie and I would believe you. But I don't know. You don't have a Dutch Brothers. No, I'm just joking. I'm here. We're here to just chat with you today about Aspen and then also give you some meaningful things that you can use no matter where you go. So I want to help you out with like interviewing techniques and things like that as well. So the first thing I always like to chat about, I know some of us are driving, there's different things going on. So I'm not going to hold you to a big PowerPoint. You guys are seeing very meaningful PowerPoints every day. I really want this to be more of a conversation with us so that you're able to ask questions that you might have, about Aspen or about really anything dentistry related. We're here for you. And then make it a meaningful conversation so that you guys can really make decisions for yourself and decide what you want for your career. Has anyone ever heard of a DSO before?
I have not.
You have not? Well, I was just like you when I was in school. If you would have said DSO to me, I would have been like, oh my gosh, is that one of the insurances I should know, like PPO? That's where I would be going. I'd be like, ugh. But a DSO is a dental support or dental service organization. It's about 40% of your current market. So about 4 out of 10 jobs that you're going to get are going to be within a dental service organization. Now, a dental service organization is super broad and as far as what it means and what it can be. So it could be, Dr. Joe down the street owns 3 offices, provides support for all 3. He is a DSO. It could be, large like Aspen Dental, where our practices are owned by the dentists, and we provide support for them. Could be like Pacific Dental Services, who not all are owned, a percentage is owned by the doctor or something. So there's different models for everyone, but basically there's a support system that is there that makes it a DSO organization, but it's a very loose term. By the time you guys retire, I'm suspecting you'll be about 6 out of 10 jobs will be DSOs. So it's good to get to know about them and learn what one works for you. Now, of course, I'm going to specifically talk about Aspen Dental because that's the one I work for, and I have a huge bias, but it's the best one in the world. But I'm going to talk to you guys about what we do. And just because it's what we do doesn't mean that's what everyone does. We're really unique. I don't know if everyone sent an Emily to you to bring Chick-fil-A and talk about their place, but tells you a little bit that we do things a little differently at Aspen. So we are a DSO in terms, and we really separate our offices from Aspen Dental Management. I work for Aspen Dental Management, so does Becky. And what we do is provide support for those offices, and the dentists own the offices and they're branded through Aspen. So what we do, what kind of things do you think a dentist does that they don't really like to do that a support organization might help with?
Marketing.
Marketing, absolutely. You've probably seen Aspen Dental commercials. Maybe not in your area, but I think so. So you've probably seen those. We also have a call center. We do a lot with marketing, very sophisticated. And that under one brand, it does a lot for that individual dentist too. What else do we do? What else, if you were a dentist that went to school to work on teeth, what else would you not want to do that a dental support organization might be able to do for you?
I guess maybe like they deal with the hiring process and all of the front office stuff, billing, all that stuff.
All of it. You just nailed it, like one after another. Yeah, it's really hard if you're a dentist to find those really great people. That's what we're doing here today. We're hoping to fish out some really great people to work for us. That would be our goal, or at least get everyone to know about us. They send me around, they send Becky to support hygienists. A lot of times when you're working in a practice, you may not get training, not because they don't want to train you and they're awful people. That's not, nobody's doing that, but just because they don't have that kind of support available. So we provide training in terms of like just how the flow works, having a mentor, having someone to guide you throughout other parts of your career. We have, and we'll go into more detail about this later, but we have a lot of opportunity for hygienists that aren't clinical. I mean, you're looking at Becky and I now, and there's tons of other people that do similar things that we do that are hygienists at Aspen Dental, and they get helped out through the support system and the education that we offer our employees. A kind of a weird thing too, when COVID hit, that was a lot of stress on dentists. They had to apply for loans, right? If they wanted to get back, they had to apply for PPP loans. They had to get PPE. There's a lot of P's in this conversation. And they had to really figure out, like, how do we navigate this new world? How do I understand what guidelines are for the CDC and for my state? And what am I supposed to do? Guess who took care of all of that for our dentists? ADMI. So we were actually able to get our hygienists back to work soon, and they were actually working from home doing, and you probably remember this, Becky, we were doing CE from home when we first started. And that was because the organization really got together and broke down barriers for those doctors. We also do, like, do you think any dentist wants to sit and pick out the best technology? Sometimes that can be really intimidating, and sometimes it can be a lot of research. We do all of that. And we also try it out in practices first. We do kind of testing on those products too, to make sure that it actually is doing what it says. So right now we're doing tests on voice activated probing, which is really exciting. Now think about this for a second. If you were a big organization, we have 870 offices. I think it's actually higher now because we grow one every 6 days. And I've been saying that for a couple months. If you were doing voice activated probing, what would you all do to test it to make sure that it works really well? What do you have to think about?
Maybe like different tonalities and voices and accents.
You know what? Winner, winner, chicken dinner, or chicken lunch, I guess is what we had. that, you know what, no one ever answers that like dead on the first time. It's so true, but that's what they did. They sent it out to places, you know, a lot of people have English as a second language. A lot, we're in every state. So we're in Alabama and all those, and I tease them just the same on the call. I don't want you to think I'm making fun of them. So all those accents though, that might be a little different, we have to make sure they work for everyone, right? Because we're not going to only hire people with certain accents. So people in Boston, people in the South, people with English as a second language, we specifically set units out there so we could make sure that the product works really well before we tell our dentist, hey, this is something really smart that we think you should buy for your practices. So just a lot of research into what makes sense as far as those things are concerned. And then also things that are just like not fun that people don't like to do in dentistry, like IT and HR and the legal stuff and making sure that your insurances don't lapse and all those things that are part of being a business owner that really a dentist didn't go to school for, that can be really overwhelming. But I know you guys aren't dentists, you're dental hygienists. I just like to get the point across that we provide a lot of support, but the dentists still own and operate their own Aspen Dentals. But I kind of like to go into a little bit about what our practices do for our hygienists, because I think that's what you probably care about the most, especially as new graduates. So, and Becky, you can feel free if there's anything that I'm missing here, because she's the one in charge of this. But is anybody a little nervous about going from school to practice? I know I was. Y'all, I felt like I was faking it. I was like, they're gonna know. They're gonna figure me out. They're gonna know. I was like so scared they were gonna ask me like, how long have you been practicing? And then I had like that ethical dilemma of, do I tell them 2 years? Because I've really been like in the clinic for 2 years, but I've only been here, like you're my third patient. Don't worry, they're not gonna ask you. And if they do, you're gonna get through it. It's not gonna be a big deal at all, I promise. But it feels like a big deal. What we do is we understand what it's like, whether you are transitioning from school to becoming a dental hygienist in practice, or if you've been in a practice for 22 years and you're going to a new practice or an Aspen Dental. It can be a really intimidating process and it can be a really confusing process. So what we've done is really break it down into training that makes a lot of sense. So your first week of training, you have a mentor that's there for you, and you're just watching that mentor and you're learning our computer system and you're kind of watching the flow, and you're meeting virtually with other people that are starting with Aspen Dental that week so that you guys can all work together and have mentors and have people that you can get a hold of so that you don't feel like you're on your own, because you're not on your own. In addition to that, you get a Becky, you get a territory manager of hygiene support, and they're there for a lot of things. In the beginning, they're there to help you with any questions or concerns that you might have, and they're there throughout your career with that. Also, if you have difficult conversations that you have to have, like maybe something's not working out in the office the way you want it to, that territory manager of hygiene support can be there to help you guide that. They're also there for when you say, you know what, this is what I want out of my career long-term. They're there to provide you with experiences that can help you get to those things that you want to do. But back to training. So that's your first week. And the second week, you really get to see the flow of things. And this is for two things. One, to make sure the flow is working for you. And two, for you to start setting how much time you need for each procedure. So you're maybe you are coming straight from school. So you might be a little different than someone who has 22 years of experience, right? So we're going to work with you on where you're at so that you can set schedules that make sense for you. And you're going to talk to us about how much time you need for those procedures. And we're going to help you set up a schedule that makes sense based on what you need. Really important that you guys also have full autonomy in what you're doing. So you get to treat your patients like you want to treat them. So everything that you've learned in school with your AAP guidelines and maybe different products that you like, you get to determine how you want to treat patients. And you actually work with your doctor to fill out a form that says, hey, when I'm seeing this, this is what I want to do. And that helps in twofold. One is it really helps you have that for the doctor, so that you don't go through what I went through, where it's like, this person's an SRP, but this person's a prophy. And by the end of it, you're like, I'm so confused, because they like basically were the same clinically. So there's some checks and balances that are there to really support you, so that you can do what you know you want to do with autonomy. And I always like to add there, people are always like, does Aspen set what perio is? And I'm like, no, that's really what the AAP and what you're learning, that's what sets those things. We don't do that. You work autonomously as a dental hygienist. So I'm going to pause there, because I feel like there might be some questions. What questions do you have for me? I see a cutie in the background. I see a couple cuties in the background. I saw a dog a second ago. I think I see maybe a little boy. I can't tell. I just see hair. No, my gosh, the little boy is a pen.
Wait, are you talking about me?
Yes, I just saw this little hair. I was like, oh, somebody's got to.
As an ambassador of just our dental hygiene program, we got SGA pens, which is our student government. Yeah,
I
so these are
love
pretty
it.
fun.
I have one. I'm trying to find it. That's what made me know what it was. I thought he was walking back and forth.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't be. That's me. That's total like squirrel behavior right there on my end. So what questions do you have for me so far? I feel like I brought up a lot. You can put them in chat or ask out loud. What do you have?
Yeah, I have a question actually about how you said that you start with like a mentor. Is it that you're shadowing somebody, or is it that you're providing treatment and then like they're just kind of like overseeing and like telling you how you could improve your workflow?
So the first week you're watching them, and the second week they take over, you take over for them. And it's really not for them to be like, no, improve this, improve that. It's really more to get an idea of how it goes. And they're really more there to support you. Like, say something doesn't work out and you can't get it done in the time that you needed to, they're going to be able to grab that patient and help you get there. But there is support too. Like if you need help with the flow, there's definitely people that can help you with that. They're one of them. Becky's one of them. But it's organized in a way where when you help set those times, it really makes it doable. And if it's not doable, you just go back to the manager and say, I set these times, but I think I was a little wrong. I need a little more now, or now I've been here for 6 months. I need a little less here. So there's a lot of room. Nothing's like set in stone for you, but I don't want you to think they're over there like wagging the finger, watching over you.
No, definitely not. I just was wondering like, if they're just like literally in the room and then you're just like, hey, what do I do here? So I guess that's like.
You're usually that first week literally in the room with them, because you're
Okay.
the computer system. So you're helping like enter in, because we have our own proprietary system. We don't use Dentrix or EagleSoft. So you're entering in stuff so that when you go with your own flow, it'll make more sense.
Okay.
Usually it's pretty user friendly with that. So you're in with them, but typically they're more hands off. I mean, they'll peek in here and there, but they'll typically not be in the room with you the entire time. More there to support if you need help, or if you have questions, or if you're like, somebody just to bounce that feeling off with, because that's sometimes really important to have. If you're like me, I remember just being like, oh, they're gonna know. So it's really just having that support there.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a great question.
It's not like school. They won't be checking your work or anything. So it's just to support you.
They're not going back through. Now it is very meaningful that they're doing that. And you definitely need that now. But once you're licensed, you're good.
Yeah.
To go.
Yes. Yep.
What
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do all of your offices have voice activated, like for the
probing? Not yet. They're testing it out in different markets. Becky, you might have bigger news on that than I do.
Yeah, so in New Mexico, we have started rolling it out. It's a pilot, so you guys will be kind of learning just like the rest of my hygienists are learning the system. It's so far it's turning out really great. It's a computer system, so there's specific ways that you have to talk to it. But once you get that down, it really saves you time, and you don't have to do the turn around and type in the numbers really quick and then go back to your patient and try to remember. So it does definitely make it a lot easier for you.
That's really cool. I'm jealous. I wish I had that clinically. I remember they had this old, like, I'm so glad they didn't go with this, where you tap with your foot. I can't imagine doing that. I'd be in good shape though. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, these are great questions. Anything else?
Sorry, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Okay, so the first things first, when Shay was mentioning that we start with the mentor, right? Is this kind of like the working interview, or are we already hired?
Such a great question. No, we don't do a working interview for a couple of reasons. One, we already know from interviewing you out loud that you're good to go, that you've got the kind of personality and exactly what we're looking for. And we know that we also provide training if there's anything that you need help with. And two, if anything were to happen to our patients during a working interview, the way our coverage works, there wouldn't be any coverage for that incident. So we don't do
liability
working interviews for that reason. Yeah. But, let's say, well, you know what, New Mexico's, if I'm speaking out of turn here, Becky, let me know. New Mexico might be a little different because there's a lot of rules with COVID still. But if you wanted to really like shadow or something, that might be something that they can set up with you. I'm saying might because I know the rules in New Mexico are different.
I can say that we have had a couple other students come and shadow our offices. So if that's something you're interested in, reach out to Emily and we can figure out what works for you.
Very cool.
Good.
Check it out for you. You could.
I have a second question. What other states are y'all located in?
Oh my gosh, how did I miss this? Becky's hitting her head like, Emily, come on. Literally, we're everywhere. We are in 43 states. The only states that we're not planned in the near by 2022 are Hawaii and I'm like Delaware and Hawaii, but we are planned. We are pretty much anywhere you'd want to go right now. We're not open in Nevada or Alaska yet, but we have plans in 2022 for both. We have 870, 900 offices right now. We grow a new office every 6 days. And on top of that, most of our offices are going from one hygienist in a practice to 2 hygienists in a practice because there's just so much need. So there's a lot of opportunity with Aspen. Somewhere you're looking to go. Do you have any more?
Well, I guess I have one to come off of that one. I'm so sorry.
No, the more the merrier. If you've got 50, I'm here for you.
Oh, that would be a long time. But okay, so let's say I'm trying to set up a scenario so I can like practically think about it. Yeah. So we graduate, we get all of our boards done and we pass them. So next comes like applying for jobs, right? So would we call like your corporation or your specific practice and say, hey, we want a job with you? Or is it more of you're going to go on Indeed or Glassdoor and see if there's any available options? With
Emily and Becky now. You don't have to do that. You just get a hold of us. And the fact is,
that's good then.
With the way that our offices grow, it's never too early. So I'm not saying you for sure would get hired in the area if you wanted to apply now, but have people that I've hired, and depending on the area, for June, who graduated in June, that I hired 3 months ago. So we have very planned. So there could be offices that are getting bigger, like adding a second person. There could be offices that are opening that aren't open yet. So if you're interested in an Aspen Dental and you've got locations that you are potentially interested in, I'm going to put my email and I don't have it next to me. Becky, put my phone number in. I'm going to put, I sent it to your instructor privately. Sorry, guys, that was supposed to go to everyone. I'm I'm gonna put my email. You can write me at any time. Oh wait, I have my phone number too. I've got my business cards next to me.
Yay. I
And
was
you
gonna
guys can
say,
text me. I'm very casual. Like just tell me the areas that you're interested in and I will get you to a recruiter. And that's how you could potentially find out about what's available. But we're very planned. So you're never too early when you guys are, because you guys graduate in like June, right? Or July? August.
August is what they're saying.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's still not too early. I'm telling you, I have people who, Becky, you can probably second that depending on the area. She's like, yep.
Yeah, absolutely. We always love to speak to new graduates and new candidates. If you're the right person, we will make a spot for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Aw.
We hire people.
Yay.
And I'm very casual, as you could probably tell. So you're free, like you don't have to leave me a voicemail unless you really want to. You can text me. It's probably the fastest way to get a hold of me, and then I can get you to your recruiter and help you get the process or the ball rolling. But we know you're gonna do just fine. We know your school educates you really well. We're not worried about, I know you're worried about the whole process, but we're not worried about the process. And we've done this before, so it's not something that scares us at all. I know it scares you guys and it's different when you're on the other end, but yeah, I would actually say, and this is true, I just met some people in Beeville, Texas earlier this week. And they were saying, oh, we're thinking about applying. And I was like, well, I just talked to the other school in Texas and there's people in that classroom who are already hired by us. So don't wait because it's, what is it like? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It's definitely worth looking for. The worst they could say is, no, we're looking for somebody right at the second, but we'll keep you in mind for future ones in that area. So if you want to text me and write like where you want to go, I can get you with the right people. Assuming there's an Aspen there or an Aspen that's going to be there. Great questions. What other questions you guys have for me? I haven't even gotten into, you guys are amazing. You're a great group. I don't even have to do it. You're asking the right ones. What do you have?
Is it for students fresh out of school mostly, or like if you worked somewhere for a while and then didn't like it or something? Like, could you still apply and stuff?
I always say we hire people. So when we meet a great candidate, doesn't really matter the level of experience. We have hygienists that have worked somewhere else for 22 years and then come here. And we have hygienists who are new graduates. What I personally like about new graduates, and this is kind of like a positive thing that you guys can feel confident about when you're out and about, is there's no bad habits. So I don't have someone that's like a prophy mill queen or king who wants to sit there and just like do, let perio just live and like have blood come up every time that they don't hit sub G. So I like new grads because you guys understand AAP. Y'all, that's been hard on people. So hug your teachers. Well, like COVID hug them, like I know you probably can't really hug them. Because it is seriously something that's been really hard on people. And we know that you guys know the latest and greatest. We know that you do the things that we want, a full probe with your recession, with your furcations, with your inflammations. Like that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who are doing exactly what you've learned in school. The biggest compliment somebody can give me is, hey, this is exactly what I did in school. I'm like, yes, it is, because they were teaching you how to be a clinician, and anything else is really not quite being a clinician. So I like new grads because I know that you guys haven't fallen out of that routine for any reason. So that's just my personal, Becky, you could probably second that. What do you think?
Yeah, I like new grads as well. I personally started with Aspen. I've been a hygienist for about 7 years. And so I've done private, I've done other DSOs, I temped. I thought I had seen it all. And I honestly was like, I don't know if I'm going to like Aspen. I've worked in other practices and seen flags and fell in love with Aspen for for the autonomy that I was given as a provider. You know, you really, really partner with not just your doctor, but your whole team, and they respect you. You guys have gone to school for, you know, years to learn how to properly diagnose and treat active infection and disease of the mouth. And so you're really respected for that. And I personally was never able to find that level of autonomy anywhere else in my career. But, you know, now, you know, in my role, I love my new grads. I love partnering with them. I learned just as much from you guys as you hopefully would learn from me. So it's very much a partnership. You have things to teach me and vice versa.
I love that. So true. Becky, you're so well spoken. But very true. And there was something that you said there that kind of clicked in my head, and it was about like you tried other things first. I always like to say, and like just be very straightforward, when I was in school, I didn't have a wonderful teacher like Miss Bunker that was like, hey, bring people in, let's learn and then make decisions ourselves, right? And I remember I was told, like, you want to stay away from those corporate offices, you never know what they're going to do to you. And when I started with Aspen, probably for the first year, I was always waiting for the shoe to drop because it was so stuck in my head. And what had really happened for me is I got more autonomy than I've ever had. I'm a career person. I love to grow and develop myself. I used to do sales with Sonicare. I used to teach. Like, there's different things that I want out of a career, and they provided that stuff for me. They provided that training for me so that I could go into other roles. And I'm going to say, and I hope that in 5 years I can walk in your school and not say this, because I hope that the world had changed, but I don't know that it will. I've never seen a company take hygiene so seriously and look at us so respectfully. So not only do you have autonomy, and not only do you have like development, but every time they open a new part, like, it's a large business, so there's lots of different things that we do. Every time they do something new, they call on hygienists. So, you know, we have hygienists who start families and decide they want to go into recruiting. Actually, if you guys decide that you want to hear from me about that, Charlotte, our recruiter, is a dental hygienist. And actually hers wasn't even family. She wanted to ride around the world in her RV. And so she decided to be a recruiter so she could have that flexibility, because you can't do that and be back in the office the next day. We have hygienists that do what Becky does. We have hygienists that do what I do. We have hygienists that are VPs of clinical dental hygiene and directors of clinical dental hygiene. We have them on the operations or more the business side, that are directors, managers. We have them in our ortho department. We have them in, like, I swear, any corner that you can have it. And it's because of how seriously Aspen takes the clinician. They know that we not only understand clinical, but that we also understand business. And I just think that we're looked at differently than any other company. I'm not dogging Phillips. I liked working there. I still have a Sonicare and an Oral-B. But when I worked there, I was a hygienist, but I would mention to them, like, oh, hey, like, I've got a hygiene friend who's really interested in doing the other part of the Valley or the other job here. And they would always be like, oh, well, hygienists don't really understand how to sell. I'm like, I'm in your top 10%. Like, I'm one of your best, and I'm a dental hygienist. What do you mean? Like, this is like, I've been here. There's no rocket scientists walking around here. This is very teachable, but they just weren't willing to do that. They liked them more on the education side, but not so much on this side. And please don't think that that's like me dogging Phillips. It's really not. It's just me saying that I've been out there and I've never seen anything like this, and I'm super, super passionate about it. I never expected to be here, and it is literally, like, for me, just on a personal level, it's like the best thing that's ever happened. I know that's like very biasy though. So I always like to say, you do you, you don't have to make decisions because of me. But it was a really, really good move for me.
I have to second that too. It was the best career move I've ever made. I'm so happy working for Aspen.
Yeah. Honestly, too, I'm one of those people that, like, wouldn't say it. I would still be very professional, but, well, not, maybe you like but I wouldn't say it if I wasn't thinking it. So enough of my soapbox. What other questions y'all have for me?
I have a question. Oh, no, you go first, because I went first. Yeah, you go.
You may have answered this question already, but I was driving, so I may have missed it. Are most of your offices like more towards like kids or
Such a good question. Yeah. So I usually go over this, and I do apologize, I didn't yet. The typical person for us is going to be more on the older side. So it's like 47 to 67 or something like that. Usually we're very blue collar. So this can be a challenge. So for our patients, many of them haven't seen a hygienist before. Many of them haven't been in years and really need that education that you guys can provide for them. These are people who have a lot of barriers in their way. If some of you are taking community oral health right now, a lot of these people should sound really familiar. We break down barriers for our patients. It's one of our biggest things that we do at Aspen every single day. And we definitely see a population who doesn't always have access to care. You're not going to find Aspen in the middle of Manhattan or LA or places with a lot of access to care. You're going to find us in areas that might be a little more rural, might be a little more blue collar. That's really who our patients are. And it does require, and when Becky says our hygienists are the best, and we provide the trainings, I don't feel like you have to do it on day one, but it requires different communication, right? Because these are not patients who have been going to the dentist regularly since they're 5 years old, typically. Don't see a lot of children. If you're like, peds are my jam, that's what I want to do, I would say don't go to an Aspen, because you're probably not going to see one child a week. It's really, really more adults. So I like to talk about barriers for a second, though. What barriers do you think your patients have? I know I've described some of them, but what are some of the barriers that patients might have?
Financial,
Yes.
transportation, culture.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Because I can go
So-
on forever.
You're like, I could go on forever. There's a lot of barriers. So transportation, we have partnered with Uber to help out for that when that's an issue with our patients. We also, you said finances, that can be huge, and no clinician has to have these conversations, nor should they. But to break down barriers, we do provide financing, and we are about 10% below whatever the zip code, oh, help me with the word here, insurance amount. What is the word? Becky, I know you know the word.
The insurance.
And customary
Oh,
rate.
the usual
Yes.
customary fee. Okay.
We are down about 10% for the average in whatever zip code we're in. So we do those things to help break down barriers for our patients. And sometimes we have office managers that are really seasoned in how to do this, because sometimes they really have to get down to the patients of like, okay, you get paid on Friday, so let's do this part here and let's do this part here. And they really work out a full plan so this person can get the true comprehensive care they deserve, and not just like remove a tooth, see you in 2 years and we'll remove another tooth. We don't like to do that to people, because does dentistry that waits ever get cheaper or less painful? No. So we know that to do the right thing by these patients, we got to really tell them what's going on and what they need to get back to healthy. And then we have to have people who are really seasoned and who know what they're doing to help really speak their language. I used to work private practice, and this is not a dig on private practice. I had a good experience. If you want to do that, more power to you, not a bad thing at all. But it was a PPO office. We only took, the highest insurance. The patients, most people had gotten care their entire lives, right? And when I would get someone in, like, and they needed an SRP, I'd be like, okay, so you need an SRP, it's going to be X amount. And literally, if they're like, could not put it on a credit card or write us a check that day, we would literally say, okay, we'll get a hold of this when you can, and we'll get you scheduled. Like, that was that. Like, is that person going to go get that scheduled? If they didn't have it today, is it coming tomorrow? No, they're not going to get that. And is that going to get any better for them? It is not going to get better for them. So, and it was just a different model and a different practice. I don't want you to think like, oh gosh, they're so terrible for doing that. It just wasn't what they were trained to do. It wasn't our audience, So my dentist, Dr. Joe Davis, he's a great guy. I don't want you to think I was working for some terrible dentist, but they just didn't have the ability with those types of patients. They didn't know what to do with the type of patients that we see. And that does require extra skill. It really requires extra heart, extra skill, and somebody who's willing to meet these people where they're at. So a lot of empathy, because you're going to see things where you're like, whoa, that's that's probably some things like you're seeing right now in school. I remember when I was in school, they said, you'll never see patients like this again. And at Aspen, if you're loving the kind of patients you're seeing, those are the kind of patients you will definitely see again. I feel like I got more questions. What do I got?
I have questions if nobody else does. Sorry.
No, I love it.
Okay, so first question, what are your schedule like for people who are becoming mamas or planning on being mamas, or they are mamas? How does that look like working for y'all?
I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing because I was just noticing his hair being done in the background.
Oh, it's always
Sorry. So our schedules are typically, now it depends because remember they are doctor owned, so it can change slightly, but our typical schedule is going to be 3 days out of the week are going to be like a 7:30 to like a 5:30, maybe 6:30. I'm not sure. Becky could help me out there. And then there's typically going to be one day, it's usually Thursdays, I think in Becky's area, which are going to be a little later, maybe 9:30 to 6:30 or 10 to 7. And then typically Fridays are a half day. If there's a lot of business, it may be a full day if the hygienist decides that's something that they want to work towards. And then you're going to do up to 16 Saturdays a year. So that's the typical schedule. Now, if somebody is like, hey, this is the, we typically hire full time. And we do that because we want to provide you with benefits. We want to provide you with 401k, with match. We want to provide you with health benefits. We want to provide you with PTO. And you're going to get PTO 5 or 6 days a year. I feel like it's 5, but it might be.
It's 5 in the beginning.
It's 5 in the beginning. And then depending on when you start, like there's a different times of the year, you get a week vacation your first year. And I love this vacation too, because it's what I call real vacation. That Dr. Joe Davis, who is wonderful, they're like, yeah, you get a week's vacation. And then I was like, okay, my friend's getting married in May. Like, let's take this vacation. Like, no, doctor takes vacation when he goes to Cabo in June. And I was like, well, my friend's not changing my wedding. They're like, you need to find somebody to fill your schedule. Oh my gosh. You know, it was really like, as a new grad, that was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. What do you mean find somebody? So it's nice because again, like we're very planned, we're very organized. So we are able to accommodate most schedules. Now, dental convention rolls into town, everybody wants the same day off. Sorry, everybody doesn't get the same day off. But the typical way that we do things, I have never had trouble getting vacation. And it was when I was in Rebecca's role, which approves the vacation, it was exceedingly rare for me to decline someone. Pretty much the only thing that ever would happen was everybody applied for the same dental convention. I'm like, use your vacation more fun. We give you free CE. Convention.
Nice. Okay, I do have I'm sorry, I do not.
No, oh my gosh, it makes it more fun when people interact.
Okay, second question. So I hear that y'all are corporate and I understand that as well. Does that mean you guys feel like you're more patient-based, or it is more about getting the numbers in and cleaning and like, let's keep it going kind of thing?
That is what I love about us is we are a support organization, meaning like there's support, but as far as clinically, you are autonomous, which means that you get to schedule how much time you need for each procedure. You get to schedule, you get to look at the patient and see what they need. Now, that being said, you know, I've had people ask like, well, what's not great about Aspen? I would say like, if you wanted to do peds, yeah, not great. You're not going to love it because it is not it's not ped heavy. The second thing that I would say too, that people should know is if you're the type of hygienist who sees your schedule in the morning and says, oh, that could never change. You know, I have a break at 3 o'clock. It's got to stay. The break at 3 o'clock has to be there. Now you're going to get your lunches and stuff. That's not the issue, but you better believe that we're here to break down barriers for our patients. So if somebody new comes in and they want to come in at 3, we're going to have them in at 3. Or if, you know, we got one of your patients who hasn't been able to make it for the last couple of weeks, calls in, they want to come in and they can make 3, we're going to do that. So I would say that it does require a level of flexibility where you have to really look at it like, hey, I'm here to break down barriers for people. Hey, I'm here to like, you know, make sure that I help people out and help as many as I can. Now, that doesn't mean cramming people into your schedule in an unrealistic manner. That's not what I'm talking about. But I am saying that, you know, if you're like, oh, at 3, I'm planning on sitting in the back and kicking my feet up, and you would get disappointed if they put a patient in, it's not the right place for you, because we really want to make sure that we take care of our patients and that they're really first. Or I'm not saying you don't get your regular breaks and things like that. But I am saying, you know, if you're the kind of person that's so planned that you couldn't allow for that, it probably wouldn't be a great match, because there's some flexibility that comes with breaking down barriers. We do things different in that way. Again, though, I want to express like not slamming patients into your schedule in a way that would make it that you couldn't give them great care, because that's number one. Our patients, you got to do the right things by the patients and everything else works out. So that means not slamming people in, because that's not going to work. That's not the right thing for the patient. It means giving you time to do the proper work that you're supposed to do. And it means being flexible in a way that would allow patients to see you. Becky, you got something to add there?
Oh, me?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I love everything that you said. I definitely, you know, agree with it wholeheartedly. And, you know, because of that patient demographic that we talked about earlier, you know, our patients do have typically a lower dental IQ. It's been a few years. So as we know from dental hygiene school, it's been 3+ years. There's a good chance you're going to have perio. So, and the last thing that any of us want to do as providers is have that conversation with Mr. Jones, you know, sit, you know, eye to eye with them and say, you have perio, you're losing bone. It's going to be 4 months before I can treat that. You know, we don't want to do that. So we're going to provide that quality care, which means giving you enough time so that you feel comfortable to be able to really, really treat Mr. Smith and get him back to health and build that relationship so that he wants to come back and see you in 3 months. Because I mean, what's the point of getting rid of the perio if he's never going to come back? So educate. Education is something we are so passionate about. I am so passionate about with my hygienist. That's how you're going to be able to build that trust, build that bond, and be the most effective at what you guys are great at doing already. So, you know, be flexible, because we do say yes to patients when it makes sense. But like Emily said, you're going to get your hour lunches, you're going to get your breaks. You're also going to have that work-life balance that we want you to feel as a provider.
Yes. Yeah. I always say we're not going to chain you to a chair. You get to live a little. But yeah, I also was thinking too, a lot of students will ask me, and I don't know if this is a thing anymore, like, do I have to clock out? And no, we're not going to have you clock out when there's not a patient there, because A, we want you there to be able to provide services if somebody does come in. And B, we know that that's part of our commitment to you, right? That part of our commitment is that you know how to pay your mortgage. You're going to be able to, like, you're not going to have to wonder if you're going to get your hours. I don't know if that's as big as it used to be, but I know in some areas it still is, where they'll ask you to clock out at noon or 3 or whatever. That's really not how we see building a relationship with you that would be meaningful to our patients. Because ultimately, if you're not happy, how are you going to treat patients? You know, is that going to affect them? So we do work on making sure that you get what you need. What other questions do we have? You guys have been awesome.
Okay, just kind of piggybacking on what you were just talking about. So you, as Aspen Dental, you guys handle paying us, correct?
So your individual practice does pay.
Oh, okay.
I learned that post-COVID.
Okay.
I've known the answer to that before that. I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna check.
Okay.
So
And then, oh yeah, go ahead.
You get a competitive hourly rate.
Okay.
And you also earn an ability to get an incentive on top of that. And that incentive is based partially on patient satisfaction.
Okay.
And also basically how well were you spending? So, you know, you also get to buy your own supplies, but they do go against your gross profit or your bonuses that you get. So you get to pick out your own supplies, you get to pick out your own instruments. You know, let's say you all have the same name up here. Let's say Holly likes one fluoride and Lila likes a different fluoride. They can pick the one that they prefer. You know, they don't have to pick Aspens. Now we'll share with you best practices so that you can probably run your business well and be more likely to earn that incentive. But if you have something that you prefer, we're going to make sure that you have that, because that's part of when we talk about clinical autonomy. That's part of what we're talking about, is that ability to get what you want for your patients. So let's say, one of you prefers Atrodox and one of you prefers Arrestin. You guys have that choice.
Okay, and then that sounds pretty good to me. The next question I have is, you said something about free CEs. Are those given through Aspen Dental, or do you just like give us a list of the upcoming CEs and we attend those, or how does that work?
So two ways. We have a ridiculously huge CE library. And if you go to jobs@aspendental.com, you guys actually have access to it too. So we have free CEs through that. And it's literally like anything you could imagine under the sun and more. And then on top of that, like when we roll out things, and typically in non-COVID times, about once a year, we'll have an event that might have like a couple of CE attached to them. You'll also get emails about, hey, there's this live webinar, and it's within Aspen, the Aspen people are doing. We've got AAP ones. I think we got tobacco cessation and a couple others. And you'll get an email that says, hey, you want to join, go ahead and register, and they're free. And you can get CE that way as well. So we do a lot to provide CE to our people. And then like, say there's something big that's rolling out, there might be CE attached to that as well. So for example, our dentists are doing implants. And so it was really critical for hygienists to really understand what that means for them clinically, and what kind of, review how to maintain these so that, people aren't putting in implants and then they're getting beaten up by us. So we also do ones that make sense to what you're doing at the time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. What other questions do we have? I still thought he ran by. I thought the little boy ran by again. I saw the pen.
It's always when I have a question, it's like time.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, next question. Do y'all have specific boards and or examinations that you would want for Aspen? Like, you guys need this specific ADEX or specific credits or mannequin or non-mannequin, so on and so forth. You accept
No.
all?
Just license. Yeah.
Just get licensed.
License in your state. Yeah. We don't have a preference. We know you've gotten the education that you need. We know that great people graduate we know that you've gotten what you need. You know you're getting your clinical hours. If the state says you are good to go, we know that you are good to go.
And then last question. So how do y'all work with students who are still in school and have not finished their boards or some of their boards, or let's say they have half and they still have one more to go? How do you like recruit and hire them out when that process isn't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it depends on the practice. So there may be one, and the person that we're interviewing, when we fall in love. There's sometimes when we just fall in love when we make it happen. But it really depends on the practice. Like I said, we're really planned. So we know that we might be looking for a second hygienist, but we don't need them till September. Or we might be looking for an office that we know is opening in September or in even October, or even July, but we know that this person has the right personality. What we do is we hire you. It's usually on a contingency that you will pass that exam, and then we wait for you. So we just hang out and we wait, and we know you're coming up, and it depends on the practice. So I don't want you to think like this happens everywhere, but in some high need areas too, while you're waiting, they may consider taking you on as a DA first, if that's something that you're interested in. Some people want to do that because it'll start their benefits early and those kind of things. Other people are like, oh no, I like my time off. But a lot of it depends on the individual situation. So it can be different for different places. And some places they're going to say, you know what, we love you. We think you're fantastic, but we need someone like yesterday. So we're going to continue to look. And in other places, they might say, you know what, we will make a space for you. And it's kind of up to the individual office and the needs of that office or the growth in that office. So I know that's not a real direct answer, but to be frank, it's just a little different everywhere. But we're used to it, and I will tell you, it's not bitten me. You guys are all going to pass. I'm not worried about it. I have hired many people who have not had their license yet, and it's not bitten me yet. So I am fine doing it, and the rest of Aspen is too. In fact, I always say apply early because we already know you're there and that you exist, right? So get yourself through that process early rather than waiting. The worst case scenario is that your recruiter will say, hey, I don't really have anything right now, but I'll keep an eye out for you, which is okay too. Good questions.
If I can just add to that too, I mean, personally, in my experience, I've had lots of, hygienists who haven't quite graduated yet, and we talked to them, we really liked them, and in some situations we did hire them and just kind of, they worked as like a DA or in the front for a little while until they got licensed. In other situations, I didn't quite have a spot. And so I actually just hired one 2 weeks ago. She ended up going somewhere else for about 6 months. She saw an opening within Aspen and was like, hey, I love what you guys had to offer. I really want to come back. And so we were able to do that too. So once I talk to you, I'm similar to Emily. I'm very casual. You'll have my cell phone number. If you ever need anything, call, text. And the dental world is a small place. Even though we're in 43 states, it's still a small place. So we can figure something out.
Very, very true. And I will that you can transfer too. So sometimes there's people who are interested in transferring. You do have to get the blessing from your owner. We don't just like take you away and not tell them. You get the blessing from your owner in the new place, but we have, I always talk about Marge, Marge. So I always call her moving Marge. Don't tell her. Actually, I should just tell her I say that. But Marge has gone, she started out in New Mexico. Then her husband went to school. Was it Tennessee? I keep saying Tennessee, but it might've been Kentucky. So she went there. Then she came back to Hobbs, Arizona, which is actually where she's from. And then now she's going to Denver. Is that right? Or she's going to Colorado?
Yeah, she's in Colorado. She opened our first Loveland office.
She's the opener, man. Every time we open an office, we got Marge coming. And she started as a, I think we were her first job out of school. Am I wrong? I think.
Yeah, she went to New Mexico University.
Okay. I thought so. I was like, because when I first started, she was in Kentucky or Tennessee at the time, and then she came back. So that if you are a moving Marge, there's always those opportunities too. Occasionally I get someone who's like, move me anywhere. There's nowhere in New Mexico, but there are some rural areas. I've got one in Idaho. It's actually really pretty mountainous, but it gets a lot of snow. I'm always full disclosure that are offering sign-on bonuses. So if you're someone who's like, I just want to see the world, give me $10,000 to start, I've got places for you.
Sorry.
No, I like that.
Do you offer stipends for moving?
Depending on the office and the need. So
okay.
Let's pretend it's a really high need office. They may offer that for you. I think most in New Mexico are not really high need. They're able to fill them. So I don't think you're going to see that there. But if you told me tomorrow I want that job in Pocatello, Idaho, I will bet you dollars to donuts I can get you a moving bonus.
Okay.
And probably a big hug from them. I don't get why that one's open too, because I've been there. It's really pretty. I do not understand. It just must be far from hygienists. I don't get it. But I know. I'm tempted to move there.
I have a question.
What's that?
I have a question. I actually interviewed with you guys already. I've got interviewed twice, and I got an email from but I don't know if this is a recruiter or not. What's a talent acquisition manager? Is that a
TAM? That's a recruiter.
Okay, just making sure.
Was it Charlotte?
The right, huh?
Was it Charlotte?
No, I'm actually moving to Tucson, Arizona, so it's Colin McGee.
Colin's our man.
Okay,
yeah, Colin's great.
Just making sure I'm emailing the right people, because I
don't you're talking to Rebecca. You're talking to the right person right there. Rebecca is the Tucson manager as well.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Nice to meet you as well. Yeah, keep reaching out to Colin and we'll connect.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
That is awesome. That's awesome. You're moving to Tucson, huh?
Yeah, my husband's in the Air Force.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. What other questions do we have? There's got to be something. Am I holding you guys? Do you have something right at the time? Because I don't want anyone to feel like they've still got to be on. Like if you're done, like you don't have to still be on.
We do have another meeting at 2.
Oh.
But if there are any other questions, you guys feel free to ask her. You can stay on and talk to her if you need to.
So I'm here for your questions. And then if there's anyone that has interview stuff too, I can also help you out with those. If you have interview questions that you're nervous about, I'm pretty good with them, but I don't want to hold you. So if you've got somewhere to go, please go. But if you want to hang out, it sounds like you can hang out. But I don't know what's your next meeting? Is it another one of me?
It's an instrument sales rep.
Oh, it's a what?
A sales rep for new instruments for boards.
Oh, okay. I see. I definitely don't want to hold you if you need it, but if there's people that have interview questions, I like to go over them. I'm not going to be offended if you like go out, but what are the interview questions that make you the most nervous? It's usually tell me your greatest weakness. Right? We're all feeling it. So I'm going to give you a real quick tip and trick if you get that one, because you will. Don't tell them that you're too good at something or that you're too amazing. So you don't want to say like, oh my gosh, I'm so nice that sometimes I get walked on and that's my greatest weakness. That's not really a weakness, right? You don't want to tell them I'm so organized. I'll be in the back organizing everything and lose track of time. That's not a weakness. The opportunity in this question comes in a three-stepper. So the first thing is identify a problem. The second thing is you want to go through these 3 steps. Step 1, you're going to tell the problem. Step 2, you're going to talk about what you're doing for the problem. And I'll give you examples in just a sec. And step 3, you want to talk about the things that you're doing to solve the problem. Okay, so real quickly, and then you have 2 ways of doing this. You can either say that I'm self-reflective, like nobody had to tell me, I noticed this on my own, or that I take feedback well. Somebody told me and this was my reaction. Okay, so somebody give me anything that's a weakness. Literally anything.
Time management.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's one that students use all the time. It's a really great one. Do you want to be self-reflective or do you want someone to tell you about it?
I'd rather be self-reflective. I don't take negative feedback well.
Is she frozen or is it just me?
I think you're frozen, Emily.
Oh, I froze on you. Was it a good one?
There you go.
Was it a good one? It's like,
It was.
okay, I'm told I've give great ones. They're crazy. Okay, so the first step that you're going to do, time management. Okay, my greatest weakness, I've noticed that when other students were working and finishing quicker, that I had time management issues and that bothered me because I don't like to be behind, right? So what I did was I talked to people who were doing really well and I got some best practices. Then I also listened to a podcast about time management and I realized my real issue was that I was second guessing what I was doing. So I pushed through that and I also followed some things that other people talked about and how they laid out their instruments and things that made the day go quicker. And now I am right where your average student is. And I also know that with time, I will continue to increase my time management as far as finishing patients. And anything that bothers me in that way, I make sure that I find a way to a solution. That's basically what you're saying. You don't really have to say that last sentence, but basically just following those 3 things and you're good to go. So I know that some of you are jumping off, so I should probably let you go so you can get your instruments. I feel a little bad. But if there's anything else you have, Becky and I will be here for you, but I don't want you to feel like you have to stay on because I feel a little guilty if you need those instruments.
Wow.
Thank you for meeting with us.
Oh my gosh.
I appreciate all the information.
Oh, you're so sweet. You've all been wonderful. And, I hope to see some of you in our practices soon. And good luck for you guys. And seriously, if you need anything at all, text me, call me. I'm here for you. Even if it's like, hey, can you look at my resume? I'm happy to do that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, this was actually super helpful. So I really also appreciate this.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure. You guys
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And I'm still here.
Thank you so much.
What you got for me?
Oh, I have questions for you.
Yeah, no, I
for
love
both
it.
of you, if you guys. Okay,
We'll be
so,
here.
oh, I appreciate that. So I'm from Aurora, Colorado. And so after hearing what you guys had to say just about your company and everything, I've kind of been on the lookout for like places to apply just because I already have my degree. So I'm very much a planner. Do you guys know how to get in touch with potential recruiters in Aurora, Colorado or Colorado at all? I guess just for the planning purposes, because
Yes.
trying to plan and it's hard when things are all over the place, right?
So yours right now for us would be
Okay.
Colin. Well, for always. I'm thinking one of my changing, but he's not, is Colin McGee. And let me give you his cell. He's
okay.
An awesome human being.
Oh, I like awesome human beings. They make people
He's
feel
really cool. He's really hyper. I love Colin, and it's always like he's had his like 90th cup of coffee, but in the best possible. Let me find his number for you.
Okay, groovy.
So
That'd
his
be
name is
awesome.
Colin McKee, and he should know where we're growing because we actually are growing in Colorado. So he should know
Okay.
for you or be able to keep you on the right track. So his number is 602.
I'm sorry, 602?
602 714
74
714
714. Okay.
And then it's 0283.
0283. Okay.
And then I'm going to put his
714
screenshot. I'll put his email in the chat.
Oh, that would be groovy. Thank you so
Private.
much.
No worries.
Mickey Aspen. Sorry, y'all. I don't mean to take up your time.
No, my gosh, this is literally my
you're
job. This is what I do for
Yeah.
a living, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, you're asking really great questions. I love how you plan everything out. I would be the exact same way.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. I always get told I'm like too detail oriented, but if I'm not in control of it, then when you kind of feel like everything's falling around you and you're like, I didn't know. I can't.
Yes.
I can't do that. So I'm happy you guys feel me. You understand. Yay. Okay,
Aw.
so Colin
Of course.
McKee. Yeah, I appreciate y'all so much. And then a Aspen Dental. Oh, okay, cool.
And he's really awesome. He's your recruiter in that area, and he should know like what's coming up. And he's also one to text. Like you might just get to know him and then, say there's nothing now, just text him and, when you're a month away, like, hey, I'm about a month from graduation. I'm looking to move back to Colorado, what's available or what's open right now.
Okay.
And then he's someone who would be able to help you navigate that. I don't know about potential in Aurora specifically, but I know that we are opening new practices in Colorado. I don't know the geography well enough to be like, yeah, it's Aurora.
I know there's like a million places, so you're fine. In the mountains.
Are you
in
married
the
to
plains.
Aurora or are you pretty open?
So I'm married to it. And after that, it was going to either be Austin or Portland, just because my partner, we're planning on like marriage later, but we really need to get our careers in focus. But he's a manager for the government. So he's based at Fort Collins, but we have our house on the outskirts in Aurora. But the whole spiel, I have my degree from NMSU, moved up to Colorado to teach kiddos, realized I love teeth and it wasn't for me. Then I was like, okay, I need to get into dental hygiene school because I don't want to be a dentist. Restorative care is not for me. And I was like, okay, let's go to Colorado for dental hygiene. And they're like, we don't accept your degree or your A's in OChem. And I was like, are you kidding me? And then DACC was like, we accept you. What are they talking about? So I had to move back
here I
down.
go.
Yes, I had to move back in with my parents, and then I left him up there, and I'm like, it's just a whole thing. But we're working on it. But Colorado for I think at least a couple years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know
Sorry,
we're
that was a
opening
whole
up.
spiel.
No. This is how it works for people. Like it does
Aw.
like, understand, okay, like what areas would make sense for her.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think he probably is your best bet.
Okay.
For some reason there's nothing available, you can always like search for recruiters. I happen to think that this is the best career line, especially with the background you just shared with me.
Yeah.
That you can go for. So I would really try to get at an Aspen, but just get a hold of him early and
Mhm.
know as a maybe. Like I said, like if they don't have anything today, I would write him a month out. Then I would write him as I was moving. Then I would write because they're
Just
going to
keep in
remember
touch.
you, and they're never going to be like, oh, they really wanted a John. That was awful. I hated that person. They'll be like, oh, if I
Aw.
have anything, I need to get a hold of her.
Yay. Okay, so just messaging him, letting him know where I'm at, that I just heard of him from you, Emily, and then also I got your name down, Miss Becky. There you go. Yes. I
Yes,
heard
he'll
from you
know
guys and
exactly who
you
you're
heard me.
talking about. He works with us both every day.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'll
He's
text
literally
him.
texted me about, yeah, he's texted me about 10 times since we've been on this call, so we're good.
You
Yeah.
guys are like, I have things to do, but I'm also like supporting patients and potential clientele. So give me time. Yeah, that's always my thing. I'm too patient oriented, but it's okay. It's okay. Alrighty. Well, yeah, y'all, that answered all my questions. I appreciate your time so much.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of
this was a
course.
good time. Yay. Okay.
Aw.
Well,
Get your time.
oh, you guys. Oh, I'm not gonna cry. Save it for later when we graduate. But yes,
You have to
appreciate
tell
all.
your significant other that I thought you had a child, but it was really a pen.
Oh. Yeah. I'll be like, we
And
made
then like I
babies and
continued
everything.
to think there was a child because like as you were doing other things, like I would kind of lose you and I'd see everybody and I'd be like, oh, that's not a kid, that's a pen.
Yeah, I just had a kid, 9 months passed. It was in this program. So funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
A little
Aw.
kiddo. Yeah, maybe after. We need to get our careers focused first.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you guys. Sorry, I don't mean to cut this short, but I am
Not at
getting
all. Have fun
now.
with your instruments and I hope you get something that you really like.
Yes, I appreciate y'all. You guys have a great day, okay?
Thank
You too.
you. Take
Bye.
care.
Y'all.
Bye. Becky, what do you think?
Hey, that was great. My phone has 5% battery left, so I'm like, please don't die as you're talking.
That's okay. I didn't use the PowerPoint at all because I'm finding that they kind of like this a little better. As soon as you turn on the PowerPoint, all the screens go blank.
I
So-
think it went great. They had a lot of really good questions. I mean, I think that you covered the whole essential of what Aspen is and got them really interested. So good job.
Well, I value what you say, so that's why I'm asking you. So if there's anything that could be better, I wouldn't be offended.
No, I love the way that you do things. You connect with them. You get them excited to talk to me, which is so valuable.
What you want. I try to be so approachable that they could tell me like, hey, I'm farting, and I would be okay with it,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
so casual that they will respond,
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes. I hope to get some. Are you meeting with the gal for Hobbs today? Or
No.
No. I'm dreaming.
Yeah.
I'm dreaming. She wasn't any good.
I gotta text you about it.
Okay, I'll talk to you later about it.
All
Thanks
right.
for being
Sounds
on. You were
good.
awesome.
You too. Bye.